Hello everyone, this is Jose of Joy of Fish Keeping. This video I hope to introduce you if you don't know about them or speak to you about temperature controllers. What are they? What do you need them for? Are they important for your fish? In particular, I'll be speaking about the inkbird 306A. Been using it. This is not a product review, but I guess it will serve on it since I've been using it for over 4 years. But hopefully I can clarify some things about it. We're looking at my 120-gallon discus tank here. As you know, heaters in your aquarium, they have thermostat, which will control and keep your temperature at a set particular range. As any electronic products, they can fail. They can get stuck in a heating pattern and just continue. You wind up by essentially cooking your fish, or they could stop working and be not heating, especially when you need it in the winter. Like discus prefer warmer temperature. I like to keep mine at 82. So what the temperature controllers do, in case of a failure of your heaters, as the name implies, it will control your temperature. So you can tell it at what setting you want it to be the lowest temperature. When it gets to that point, it will start heating, and then it will stop when it gets to a certain temperature, whether or not the heater wants to continue heating in case of a failure. One of the things that we like to do in fish keeping is redundancy and have backup plans. Like in most of my tank, the discus tank, I have 2 heaters in there. Actually, I have 3 heaters right now, because I'll explain later why I have 3 heaters in it right now. But I have 2 heaters. If one heater fails, the other one will just take over, so that you don't realize that there's some changes happening. So what the temperature controller will do is that if one fails, certainly it's going to stop the whole system from working once you've reached a preset temperature. So this is it's redundancy. Controllers are redundancy because we have thermostat in the heaters already. And then I have 2 heaters on the larger tanks, so that if one fail, I have a backup plan. We keep sometimes spare filters around, so that if one fail, we have a backup. Because the worst thing that can happen is that on a weekend, the middle of the night after the stores close, and by the time you get stuff, it may be a little bit late. So it's always good to have a redundant and a backup plan. In essence, a temperature controller gives you peace of mind. This is not intended to be a product review of the inkbird temperature controller. Neither am I was given anything free by the company or sponsored by them, just that I have been using these controllers for about 5 years now, and I believe I have 5 or 6 or 7 of them, and I have found them to be very effective. If you want to use them, you can use any brand you want, but if you certainly want to use them, I have no interest whether you use the inkbird or anything else. Just again, my experiences with them, and how I have really taking advantage of their features. The inkbird controller 306A with Wi-Fi is the one that I have been using. I have 2 that are not Wi-Fi. Those were the original ones that I first bought, but the Wi-Fi, I highly recommend that you get those if you're planning to get any of these controllers, while I'll explain in a second down the line. This is the US version with the standard electrical outlet. There's also the European versions, which are these, with multiple options for your electrical outlets, as they are wherever part of the world you live in. So wherever you live, you may order according to your area. So this is not just one version. There's multiple versions of it. Although inkbird uses many other controllers, humidity controllers and so on, but this specific one is just a temperature controller. If you're interested in the video just for the inkbird 306A, the temperature controller, I'm going to put up on the screen the timeline where it is exactly. You can just go for that one if you're just interested in that information. Otherwise, this continues to be just general information. One of the things, as I said before, about the temperature controller is giving you ease of mind. I have gone on vacation, and the controller has told me the temperature is. The controller, because it's Wi-Fi connected, I've been overseas, and the controller told me the temperature is high or it's low. One of the things that I have done, which I'm not covering in this video, is I live in a 6th-floor apartment, faces the sun in the morning instead of faces the sun in the afternoon, so it can get very hot in the apartment. So this particular vacation, I didn't set up the fans. I have these small fans that I put on the top there. So whenever in the summer, actually when I went away, I kept the air conditionings on at all time. But at some point, it told me that the temperature was in the upper 80s or 90s. So I just asked my neighbor, which I left her in charge with my apartment keys, just to lower the temperature on the air conditioner that is in the living room where the fish tanks are. So that way, over a couple of hours it took before the temperature normalized again to where I want it to be. And the same thing with the fans. Once I get the notification that the temperature is high, I just turn on the fan, and within 2 hours it lowers the temperature by about 2 degrees. And I will do a separate video at some point. I have to just make the time to do it on the fans. And this is, again, those two combination things is something that really has made a difference for me, because keeping aquariums cool in the summer is really not an easy task at times. It can be very costly if you use aquarium coolers, and when you have multiple tanks, that sometimes that economically is not a great thing. But this has worked well. Now that I've told you what the temperature controller is, what the major function, what it does, is I'm going to go into specific about the inkbird, and I'll go over it with you here. Keep in mind that the inkbird, this particular model, works on 2.4 gigahertz on your Wi-Fi signal, and also it only works in this particular bandwidth. Most things today are 5Gs. Initially, when I first had the Wi-Fi models, I could not get it to go Wi-Fi, so I was just using it and did all the controls by using the controller itself, which is really a pain in the neck to do. It is so much easier when you connect to the Wi-Fi and use the app for it. So I highly recommend that you do it that way. If you cannot connect it to Wi-Fi, call your local cable company if you cannot do it on your own, and make sure that you can also, the first time I did it, I had a cable company and I called them, so they put me so that it's dual band, so it can do the 2.4 gigahertz. And currently I switched to Verizon 5G, which is it just gives me Wi-Fi internet. That's what I really have in the house. And I have most of my controllers and smart plugs and everything working with it. So again, that was 5G. I could not connect it initially, and then I called them and they showed me how I can have the 2.4 gigahertz, and then I was able to connect them and no issue. So just make sure you're in the right bandwidth for it. I don't want to call this an unboxing video. I don't like doing many of those, or really products reviews, but because I'm talking generally about temperature controllers, basically I figure that I will show you this unboxing. This is my 7th unit of these. I have 2 that are non-Wi-Fi. This one is a Wi-Fi version, which I highly recommend that you do it. It really gives you a lot of peace of mind. You can do remote control from elsewhere. I've done it overseas. This model is for the US. You can see the plugs. It has 2 plugs, dual plugs. This is not meant to connect 2 separate heaters from 2 separate aquariums, but just, again, redundancy, as I said earlier in the video. And it also has 2 temperature probes that are, again, if one fails, the other one will work for it. It's a standard plug. This one, again, it says Wi-Fi, and make sure that you are connected to a 2.4 megahertz band. Once successfully connected to the internet, this is the app with 3 controllers. This is my current home screen. On the upper right there at the plus sign, you can add devices on it. Once you press devices, it will bring you to the screen to set it up. This is part of the general information menu. I'm just scrolling through part of the app so you can see what's there. Then we're back to the home screen. So you're going to press to add a device. In this case, it's going to be the 306A. The app will very easily and nicely walk you through the installation process. Once it's installed, this is the home screen for each particular controller. Right here, show me that it is in heating. This is temperature 1, which is the low setting. It's at 79.2, and this is 80 as the top temperature. Can very easily from the app change the temperature setting. This is the 90-gallon community tank with a bunch of rainbow fish, some acaras, electric blue acaras. It's a very mixed tank. I set the high temperature at 80, so when it gets to 80 degrees, it'll turn off the heaters and stop heating. I'm adjusting the low temperature, so if it gets below that, it'll turn the heaters on, so I'm adjusting that to 79 degrees. Again, this is easily achieved on the app. From the settings menu, you have several options. The first one being the temperature units that you use in your area, Fahrenheit versus centigrade. Temperature calibration, if there's a difference between temperature taken with another thermometer and what the sensors and the probes are reading, then you can make it plus or minus 2 so that it reads the same. If for some reason the temperature goes over temperature 2 and you want it to alarm at a highest temperature, I said at 85, this one, it will alarm and let you know. For a low temperature setting, this will send you an alarm value. So this one I set at 77 as the lowest point. I would like to be notified. If for some reason your heater is heating for an extended period of time to whatever you set it at, let's say if that is heating over 6-7 hours, it may be that a heater is faulty and just not working. It will also notify you of that. Back to the main screen for this particular 90-gallon tank. All the settings are there, so you will get these alarms and you're back to the home screen here. As I've said before, this 120-gallon discus tank has an extra heater there. The temperature for some reason was at 77. Although I have 2 heaters there, apparently they were not heating. I have to go back and trace the wiring. Maybe something got disconnected and they were not being fed any electricity. The controllers will continue sending current to the heaters. That's why you get that warning for the continuous heating, so that if it has been heating for too long and you're still not achieving your temperature, at least you can go back and find out what the problem is. This is the 90-gallon and its controller. On the left, these 2 controllers are non-Wi-Fi and they control these 2 20-gallon tanks that I use for quarantining discus. And this one is going to be the next controller that I'm setting up is for the 60-gallon that is to the right. That one is the controller for the on top. That's the controller, the thermostat, and the controller for the heater that's currently in there. But I'm putting a controller, and that is going to the controller for this particular tank. This is a 65-gallon and its controller, the 120. So as stated, a temperature controller will save you a lot of heartaches and trouble in case there's a heater malfunction, and protect your investment, protect your fish. And in my case, with a lot of discus that are costly, if the temperature fails and the heater fails, it would not be a happy moment for us here in the house. So as we say in my home country, that we tend to lock things up after the thief comes and makes a visit. I guess the American saying for that is an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So in other words, take a little prevention. Don't mind doing a little redundancy and a little bit of prevention. This particular controller costs between $40 and $50 depending on what website you look at. And $50, you may say, well, it's a little bit expensive, but you figure, so you're not going to do that for a fish that costs $1 or $2 or $3. But you figure if you have a community tank with multiple fish ranging from 5 to 10 to 20 to 30, in a tank you may have a lot of money invested. So in my case, all my tanks are overstocked. So when you figure a lot of 20s and a lot of 10s and a lot of 50s or whatever, it adds up to quite a bit. And it's not so much the cost of the fish, but you have invested a lot of time and effort into maintaining a beautiful setting and a beautiful environment for them. So why not go a little bit extra and protect them? So with all that being said, I hope you got something out of this. I don't care what controller you use. It's just your choice. You do things your way. This is my way. This has worked for me. It was something that I will continue to use and not leave home without it, as the old saying goes by American Express. If you have not done so, please subscribe, share, like, and press the notification bell. Thank you for your support and visiting our channel.